there's just the right song with just the right artist at just the right time. Be driving around one day and it shows up on the radio and you're kind of like, wow.
Sorry. It's weird, I get emotional.
Hey, my name's Brett James. I'm here at the world-famous Bluebird Cafe, and I'm going to be playing Hook, Line, Singer. The hook. Let that igloo cooler mark your piece of paradise, from the song Summer Nights. Wow. That's a fun one. Wrote this song, Summer Nights, with Busby and Gary LaVox. And what I remember about that day is that I'd never written with Busby, and Gary had never written with Busby. And Busby is this, and was this just amazingly big. He was a huge human, but he was also a big personality. And so he walks in with all kinds of energy and all kinds of, crazy, actually. And Gary's the same way. Gary LaVox is, he's still a dear friend of mine. And he may be the funniest person I've ever known in my life. And one of the most talented people I've ever known in my life. The day we wrote Summer Nights was not a boring day, to say the least. We wrote it at Gary LaVox's house. And, I just remember we went through a bunch of song ideas that day. Summer Nights was actually Gary's title. He was like, they needed a summer song for live for Rascal Flatts. And we kind of landed on this Summer Nights, and he started singing, Summer Nights, everybody's feeling sexy. And the next thing you know, we're kind of off and running. And, I think the igloo cooler mark your piece of paradise line, I want to say that came from Gary LaVox too, because we were just talking about beaches, and we were talking about what it's like to be on the lake or on the beach or on the beach on the lake, and how, you just see everybody's dragging their cooler and their umbrella and their kids and their chairs and everything. And the igloo cooler is sort of your spot. It's sort of I grew up in Oklahoma. It's like you're staking your claim on the beach for the day. And so it's marking your piece of paradise. And actually, 3 days ago, my daughter was in Yellowstone at a waterfall, hanging out with a bunch of friends. And she sends me a video of she and all her friends hanging out at the waterfall. And she said, Dad, listen to the song. And the song that's in the background was Summer Nights. And so that makes me happy, because this is an older song, 20 years old at least. And to know that my daughter's listening to that song at the beach or at the waterfall with her friends is a really special thing. All right, I'm flipping over line. Oh, it's because I'm living my truth without your lies. Let's be clear, baby, this is goodbye. I love that line. This is from a song called Mr. Know-It-All by Kelly Clarkson. And I love this song. I wrote this song with Esther Dean and Brian Kennedy in L.A. I was on an L.A. trip. I used to go to L.A. quite a bit and write pop songs, pop music all week. And Esther and I had quite a few hits together, actually. And Brian and I had a couple. And the way this song was written is very much now how we do things kind of in Nashville, but this is before we had track guys in Nashville. But we had track guys in LA, and Brian is and was an amazing track guy. And so this particular day we're in the studio, and it was Brian's job just to bring the tracks, and so he would run through a bunch of tracks on his computer, and Esther and I were just listening through stuff. And we were really attracted to this particular track. We're sitting in the studio, and we both loved it. And so Brian's kind of job is done. He's already got the music done. And so now it's Esther and my job to kind of write the melody and the lyrics on top of the piece of music that Brian had brought. Mr. Know-It-All was her title. And I don't know how we got on that. I just remember we started talking about guys who know it all, people who think they know it all, guys or girls, anybody. And, it was time to, just write one of those sort of man-hater songs. And I always joke that, I apparently have an inner female that hates men, because I've written quite a few man-hater songs. But this is one of those, and it was really fun to play the character of this female while we're writing the lyric to this song this particular day. And the line, because I'm living my truth without your lies, let's be clear, baby, this is goodbye, is, there's Mr. Know-It-All, there's Mr. Play Your Games, there's Mr. Bring Me Down. We kind of renamed him 3 times in the song. And this was Mr. Play Your Games. We're talking about how a lot of times when people are walking away, they're leaving a relationship, the person on the other end of that information doesn't believe them. You know, this is just another fight. This is just another, you know, you're just faking it again. You're really not going to leave me this time. This is, you know, I've got you, you know, and you're not in control of this situation because I know you're not really going to walk away. And I think it was a very empowering thing for the person in this song to say that, you know, this is not just another I'm being taken advantage of fight we're having. This is it. And so I think it becomes a powerful line in the song. That's why we put it in the third verse as opposed to the first. We found out pretty quickly that Kelly would be doing it, and did not get to hear her version until it was on the radio. And so, you know, that's almost more fun for me to just wait and hear that it's out, and just hopefully be driving around one day and it you know, it shows up on the radio, and you're kind of like, wow. That's the pull your car over moment and kind of thank God and your blessings that something cool happened. And you know, those are really special moments. You're usually in your car by yourself. Sometimes you cry a little bit, but you're always really blown away and just thrilled that, you know, something you got to write in some little room is now coming through the speakers on your radio. I'm flipping over singer, and it's Carrie Underwood. Wow, one of my favorites in the whole world, and one of the greatest voices that ever lived, in my opinion, and one of the sweetest people I've ever known. So it thrills me that I get to talk about Carrie for a little bit. She and I met because Hillary Lindsey and Gordy Sampson and I wrote Jesus Take the Wheel. And when we wrote Jesus Take the Wheel in 2005, we had no idea that we didn't know who Carrie was. She had just American Idol. I think it was the first or second season, and it had just started, and we weren't paying attention. And Carrie she wasn't in the top 10 yet, or whatever it was. So we didn't know who Carrie was when we wrote that song. We just tried to write a song that we loved that day, and that song ends up in Carrie's hands. She ends up winning American Idol, and ends up being her first country single. And there's, you know, we write lots and lots of songs, but to have like a moment like Jesus Take the Wheel happen is pretty special. And it to me, it always is, there's just the right song with just the right artist at just the right time. And that's kind of what happened. And it was just a perfect timing for this amazingly beautiful, incredibly talented girl from Chakota, Oklahoma, to sing our song. And so she sings it. It goes number one. I get to meet her kind of at, you know, number one parties and things like that. But the time that I sat down to work with her the first time was after that first album happened and Jesus Take the Wheel happened and some other songs happened. We had a songwriting camp for her in Nashville at the Ryman Auditorium, which was really fun. And she was there, and there were, I don't know, 15 writers, and she was kind of going around to the rooms, and we're all trying to write the next Carrie Underwood record. And so I met her then, and then we just developed a songwriting relationship over, you know, a bunch of years, and became friends through that. And, you know, I'm trying to think of, I mean, some of the songs that we've written together, I remember the first time Mike Elizondo ever came to town, and his first day in Nashville, I think, he walked in with an amazing groove, and he's just a genius anyway. But this coolest thing I'd ever heard, and it had this big stomp beat to it. And the three of us wrote Cowboy Casanova that day, you know. And Carrie and I have written lots of, I don't know, I got to go to her Vegas show recently. I think I had 7 songs on the show, which is just so cool. I mean, we wrote Something in the Water together, and a bunch of others. I'm trying to think. Church Bells comes to mind. You know, some of my favorite songs I've ever written, some of my favorite days I've ever gotten to experience have been writing with Carrie. And just the evolution of her as a songwriter over the years has been incredible to see. It didn't take her long. I have a million memories of the Bluebird Cafe. The first one that comes to mind is the first night I was ever in Nashville. I was still in medical school at the time, and I sat at that table, and there was I don't know how I got in. I must have had a friend or something, because it was a charity benefit that night, and Radney Foster, Jonelle Mosser, John Prine, Jeff Black all played. Doesn't get better than that.
Sorry. It's weird I get emotional about that.
But it changed my life. I went home and all those amazing artists, I wanted to be Jeff Black, who never quite got his due in Nashville as much as I thought he deserved. But his music touched me more than almost anybody ever, still. And I heard him here first. And then the first night I ever played the Bluebird, which is I won't get emotional about, was a Sunday night, and I showed up for the auditions, early auditions, in my pink Mo Better shirt and my cowboy hat because I wanted to be Garth Brooks, because this was 1992, and somehow I got chosen for from the auditioners to get to play another Sunday night, and I came back and did my 2 songs, and I've still got pictures from that night, the first time I ever played here, and still some of my dearest friends I met here. We've all played here together, but this place has been very, very important to me. I want to say thanks for having me on Hook, Line, and Singer here at the world famous Bluebird Cafe. One of my favorite places in the world, and one of the places that's most dear to my heart. Also want to thank my bank, City National Bank, for supporting this. And here's to many more amazing songs written and sung here at the Bluebird.